All right, it looks like we are live with our friends on YouTube and on Twitter or X Twitter or Twitter X, and then of course our good people on Facebook Live coming to you from the Arctic Air Studios today. Your aeronautic Arctic, not Arctic, easy for me to say. You need to call the bear. Also by Kyle Rogers, our realtor in Raiderland, there with the good people at Remax, and of course Pete's Tire Service in Ropesville, Texas. If you're out and about, roadside service across the South Plains area, you need that number all the time, ready to go on your phone for Pete's Tire Service out of Ropesville. All right, we'll let a few folks get in. You guys know what to do. The early arrivals, you let us know the audio is good, the video is good. You give us thumbs, you give us hearts, you give us whatever, say something in the talking box, whatever you need to do. Then you jump on the United Supermarkets text line 806 772 0197 if you're with us on Twitter and on YouTube Live. That's how you communicate with us. Third party streaming, we can't see everything all at once. So we have the United Supermarkets text line for you, ready to go, just like the old days on radio. Text on in. Craig says the talking box is on. We endorse that statement, Craig. We heartily endorse that statement. We hope you guys are having a fantastic time today. It looks like it's going to be a couple of days where we maybe don't hit 100 again. Are we done with 100? I don't know. We're getting closer to it. All right, today, Bandwagon Wednesday. The bandwagons you're on, the bandwagons you are off. What are you supporting, not supporting this week, sports or otherwise? It is Texas Tech prediction day for me. I'll give you my season predictions today, and we will mourn the loss and the passing and celebrate the life of terrible Texas Terry Funk. Man, oh man, hard to believe. He'd been ailing for quite some time. The Alzheimer's finally got him. So all that today, plus Brett Yormark causing Hook'em fans to absolutely get triggered. Texas tears are falling down after his statements in Lubbock today at the Red Raider Club kickoff luncheon. So all that going on for you today. Text in on the United Supermarkets text line 806 772 0197. Are we ready to go? Michael says he approves of the message. Another Michael's in. Let's see, Chris is in three, in two. Good evening, West Texans, all you good, fine, friendly folks out there who wish you were. I'm Ryan Hyatt, TheRaiderland.com. Hopefully you start your day with us there on the website. We give you the question of the day. Raiderland hot links, cool stuff that we link to that we think, well, we like it. Maybe you guys will enjoy it too. Brought to you in part today by Pete's Tire Service in Ropesville, Texas. Roadside assistance available from the biggest of farm vehicles to your car, truck. They'll get you taken care of. It's Pete's Tire Service. Also, Kyle Rogers, our man in Remax, man, he fought the good fight the last couple of weeks with the MLS system being hijacked, taken over by hackers. That didn't slow him down. Buying houses, selling houses. He doesn't need no computer system. Because he's Kyle Rogers. He was doing stuff before computers. Not he's old or anything. If you're buying or selling a house, get a hold of Kyle. And of course, we do have you here in the Arctic Air Studios, locally owned and operated, veteran owned and operated. Call the Bear, callthebear.com. And if you somehow have limped, by the way, your old AC and a heating unit through the summer, don't try it through the winter. Get them to come out, give it a good check. They'll let you know what you need to do. All right. Doughboy checking in on the old United Supermarkets text line today. We welcome them into the family here in Raiderland. I'm a little bit biased. Big fan of United Supermarkets. Obviously, years ago, they stepped up naming rights at United Spirit Arena back in the day. And then my son works for United. He's a part of the United Supermarkets family. So we welcome them in. Great sponsors here in West Texas of Texas Tech and what we do in Raiderland, and bringing you the text line every day. So make use of it. 806 772 0197. Yeah, so we'll get to my season predictions. I ran a poll on Twitter today at Ryan Hyatt Media. I guess I could go back and look. I don't know what it ended up being. I said, what do you think I'll predict on the win total for Texas Tech? And the way I do win totals, I do a win total, and then I do a plus or minus. Like if everything goes really good, you get this. And if everything goes really good, you are bad, you have injury and stuff, you probably fall to this number. And I have struggled more this year coming up with my prediction than I have in a while. In a long while, it seems like, trying to figure out exactly where we were going to go with that. But You got to make a prediction at some point, right? You got to do something. So we have that. We have that today. We have it today. All right. So Red Raider Club kickoff luncheon today. Brett Yormark, the keynote speaker, and he raised a few eyebrows today with some of his comments today, which paraphrasing here. By the way, Cole Banker, KMAC 28 shout out. He got these out in real time. Brett Yormark looking down there at Tech head coach Joey McGuire saying, hey, we're going to be in Austin when you're there for the final time. You better take care of business. Well, that has like completely and utterly freaked out the Texas fans today. The whole, it's all rigged. The Big 12's against us. How can a commissioner be that unprofessional? This is why we're leaving the Big 12. The fix is in. It has been beautiful to watch it. Beautiful to watch the reaction. And it kind of started trickling out, during the noon hour. And then by this afternoon, it's fantastic to see the meltdown that is going on by the commissioner rooting for a Big 12 team that's going to remain in the Big 12. Now, give Brett Yormark credit. He knows his audience, man. He knows who he's talking to. But also at the same time, give Brett Yormark credit. He's the Big 12 commissioner. Texas and Oklahoma said, we don't like this party. We're leaving this party. Yeah, but we're going to stay and drink until the keg's empty. When you loudly announce that you don't like the party, you think the party sucks, but you keep drinking at the keg, don't be surprised when a few people get mad at you. Party on, Wayne. Party on, Garth. So on the bandwagon today, 100% on the bandwagon of Brett Yormark again, making comments that the collegial commissioners would not make, that the normal conference commissioners would make. Yeah, he ain't one. That's why the Big 12 still exists. Love it. All right, you guys can get on the United Supermarkets text line, 806-772-0197. Craig, my dad used to see him all the time, United Supermarket in Canyon, when my dad would deliver groceries there. Yeah. Terry Funk, obviously living, kind of had a ranch just outside of Canyon, just north of, if you know where Kimbrough Memorial or WT Stadium used to be, where that was. Chris says UT not used to having a commissioner that's not in their back pocket. No. Yeah, you got a lot of years coming back to you this year. I remember going around the league in the final year of the Southwest Conference when Tech was leaving, Baylor, Texas and Texas A&M, and the animosity that was going on there against, Texas Tech. Hey, I was there. And again, it was uncomfortable. You think you were going to a tea party? Yeah. Scott, I was there. The Big 12 commissioner has swung his sword. Shall meet the other foot. Shoe meet the other foot. Okay, yeah. Shoe meet the other foot. Yeah. Now it's on the other foot, Horns. Make them drink from the Bud Light keg. We won't disappoint them, says CJ. And don't be surprised when others are happy when you get your ass whipped. That's right. By the way, the calls are not likely to go their way either. I hope not. When they get to the SEC, they're not going to get calls. Ain't going to happen. Doughboy says they like the free beer. The days of free beer are over, Texas. They're gone. Chris jumping in. Weston is jumping in. Hope your day is good. It's prediction day for me. I'll give you my predictions for what I think Texas Tech season is going to be. You guys can start throwing your season predictions out. Earlier this week, we talked about what we think the toughest game will be on the schedule, and it could end up being that game down in Austin, depending on who's playing for what at that point in the season. I still think Oregon is the best team Texas Tech will face this year, but with that one being in Lubbock, I think that changes that dynamic a little bit. And then, K-State going to be tough. TCU, they think they're good, so they're good, right? They think they're good, so they're probably going to play good. This is a very interesting schedule to go down and look at what you think Tech's going to do and what you think Tech isn't going to do. So we've got that today. We've got the Brett Yormark comments if you want to sound off on that. Bandwagons you are on, bandwagons you are off, anything and everything in the world. And then we'll celebrate the life of Terry Funk before we get out of here tonight. I've got some stories going way back to the 1970s regarding the Funk Brothers, Funk Wrestling family, and a few things today. So we'll tell those stories if you will indulge me later on in the broadcast. That I'll share you a little bit of I wouldn't call it a unique perspective at all, but my perspective on Terry Funk. Jay jumping in today. Scott says, like the aggressive coach McGuire comment, says we own the Big 12. Hopefully he's on track. Looking at all the transfers that are starting on both sides of the ball. Yeah, got an influx of talent. That was one thing Texas Tech needed. You had to upgrade the talent. You had to upgrade the depth severely. Still in that process. Still a ways to go. That's one of the reasons that my prediction is completely, wholly predicated. And in fact, I'm probably going to violate my prime directive when I say that I usually give a win total plus or minus one. This is going to be a win total plus one minus two. That if you have injuries this year, you're going to drop down 2 games. That the depth still isn't there. I know you meant come through, but hey, it was the late 60s and early 70s, so well, you know. There you go. Oh, goodness. All right. So what do you think? What do you guys that are on right now? Go ahead and give me your win predictions. I want to see what you guys are thinking. I got fat thumbs. I understand. You guys see me. I mess up some of the slug lines on here. What are we thinking, real quick? How many wins for Texas Tech? We'll get yours. I'll throw mine out here in just a few minutes. We'll go through here. Hi there, Michelle. Glad you're jumping in today. You guys can get on the United Supermarkets text line if you're watching on Twitter and on YouTube channel. Best way for us to see your comments. The wonderful people at United Supermarkets joining the Raiderland family. 9-3, and if healthy, maybe 10-2, says Brian. 806-772-0197 for you to text in. Michael going with the 8-4, which it's been a while. Well, no, because for a lot of years people just throw out just numbers. But it's been a while since you could legitimately say 8-4, and nobody looks at you sideways. That people aren't going, well, there's a Tech homer. There's a guy looking at it through scarlet-colored glasses. Off the text line, 8-4. Doughboy says that, plus a bowl win. Get you 9 wins on the season. CJ says it's going to be 11 counting the bowl win. Going 9-3, says Chris. Jay likes 10. Jay likes 10. I was just trying to come up with something creative to say on that. Ryan going with 9-3 in the regular season. It'd be really interesting to see how the bowl season is going to break out. It's really hard to kind of game that at this point, and everybody tries to do it. David, 7 with injuries, 9 healthy, 11-2 if you get the TCU trip. And there's nothing wrong with that. Most teams, if they end up with a great year, have some amazing breaks go their way. Texas Tech, last great year they had amazing breaks go their way. People forget how dicey the Nebraska game was that year. They don't forget, but you had to have Blake Gideon drop a sure interception, have a chance to have Crabtree pull off a miracle. Those are 2 big games, swings right there, that if those don't happen, nobody's ever talking about that year. Chris saw bowl projections, Tech playing Notre Dame in a bowl game. That'd be fun. Yeah, it's always fun to beat the Irish. I'm holding back my enthusiasm, says Scott, until I see real genuine progress. Win total about 8. Bowl could get 1 more. I think you saw genuine progress last year. Hi there, Gideon. Yeah. Craig, 7-5, win one they aren't supposed to, lose one that they are supposed to win. Again, that's most years. That's most teams that either aren't horribly bad or really, really good. That you look back over that schedule. There ain't nothing wrong with being lucky. You got to be good and lucky to have special years. You do. You have to have a certain amount of luck. Handicappers, smart football people literally factor that in. That's one reason why there are some people who are saying, watch the Dallas Cowboys this year. And one of the things, they were incredibly lucky in recovering fumbles last year, well above the NFL average. And when that happens, usually the next year, that number goes right back down to a mean, that you don't get that luck and it affects you. Watch that for the Cowboys early. Remember, I said that all the way back in August when sometime in October somebody's saying, and boy, the Cowboys have seen the turnover number go up this year. Val says 9-3. David, you have to be good and you have to get lucky. We're still talking about football, right? Are we talking about football here? Maybe we're not. Maybe we are. If you're just getting in, going to give my Texas Tech predictions here in a minute. We'll celebrate the great Terry Funk, his passing today after suffering with Alzheimer's for the last several years. And on Bandwagon, you tell us the bandwagons you're on, the bandwagons you were off, created by a listener on the radio show back in the day. You get on a bandwagon, you get off a bandwagon. That's just the way it goes. Whew. Sorry, my sinuses today are just off the charts again. And the wind blowing, it's kind of cloudy, but it's just been brutal. This whole spring, it just never stopped. Except for the national championship game, TCU, the luckiest team in America. Yeah, everything went right. That's how you get there. Lost my father to Alzheimer's a couple of years ago. It's just a wicked, brutal journey, and it's harder, I think, sometimes for the family. I know it ain't no peachy deal, obviously, if you're suffering from it yourself, but it takes a toll on the family and the loved ones like few things do. I think it was Dory Sr. who started. Well, when we talk about who invented what, get ready for a good wrestling argument. But I think it was Dory Funk Sr. or Dory Funk that I think gets credit for that. Above my pay grade on the pro wrestling there a little bit, but I want to say go that. Going through it now with Mom. My condolences and my prayers of strength and comfort for your family there, Chris. Been there, done that. I understand. So tech predictions today. Give you mine. You guys can give us yours. Brett Yormark, triggering text. It's beautiful to watch. The Big J journalist putting it out there, and then the comment sections on Twitter, and I'm sure on Facebook and other places on the internet you can find it. They're just golden. The Texas fans, the ox has been gored. The sacred ox has been gored on its way out the door. And Yormark, stone cold killer, just he don't care. Ray Yormark, for one of the first times ever in somebody in power in this collegiate situation, looking at Texas and go, what are you going to do? What are you going to do about it? You going to leave? You going to quit? You can go to the SEC? What are you going to do? Oh, you don't like it. Oh, that's a shame, Chris. I'm sorry, Mr. Del Conte. I'm having some really bad reception. You know how hard it is to get reception out here in West Texas. Helmet sticker. Ultimate helmet sticker. I mean, I hope every call goes against Texas. I hope every call goes against Oklahoma on the way out, and they gripe about it. It's beautiful. Been there, watched it. Let's see. I got to hit the see more on this one. My dad used to see Terry Funk in the United Sooner. Yeah. Said he was super nice. Yormark was a fearless champion today. Golf clap for that one. Quality golf clap. If you are with us on Twitter and on YouTube live, use the United Supermarkets text line to get in. Hey, you can use it if you're on Facebook too. 806-772-0197. If you want to drop us a message, and here's the advantage to the text line like that. I'm the only one who can see it. So if you ever want to communicate, not surreptitiously necessarily, but want to pass along a message. By the way, Doughboy, I got your message. I'll respond to that here in just a little bit. If you want to do that, you can hit us on that text line. It's sort of like email, but it's different. Tell Yormark I'll be there, says Chris. Bob says 10-2. I think they beat Oregon. One loss will be a bad loss, though. So going to get Oregon. Yeah, that's another one of those tricky games on the schedule. You sit there and you look at it and you go, Oregon's really good. You were improved at home last year. You won close games at home last year. You played well. Oregon. I need to go and do a little deeper dive on Oregon the last few years. Obviously, they played at Ohio State a couple of years ago. Was that 2 years ago? Can't remember which year it was. Lose track on some of that stuff. But like some more not an Ohio State, but at more of a Texas Tech level. See what that's looked like for him. Taylor says you can tell Yormark has a special affinity for Tech. He may or may not have an affinity for Tech. I hope he does. Now I'll say this: he has tremendous respect, and that's not BS talking. That's not just, hey, I'm in Lubbock, I'm saying nice stuff. He has tremendous respect and vice versa for Dr. Lawrence Skuvenek, the Texas Tech president, and for Kirby Hocutt. Now that's real. That relationship is real because, quite frankly, Skuvenek and Hocutt may never get the recognition they deserve for holding the Big 12 together from the summer months after OU and Texas announced to the arrival of Brett Yormark. And yeah, everybody says the nice things about Bowlesby and getting the 4 schools in. Bowlesby pretty much was sidelined. He was told what was going to happen, and he didn't get in the way of it. But Yormark knows who made things happen, and Mac Rhodes down in Waco, obviously, I think gets some credit for that. But Dr. Lawrence Skuvenek, I don't think will probably ever get, and I think he's kind of cool with this. I don't think he'll ever get the credit he probably deserves for what went on there. Ryan says, hopefully Oregon can't handle Texas heat. Bo Nix has a bad day. Bodacious Bo Nix, which is capable of having. Yes, he is. No Big 12 without Dr. Skuvenek. Not sure I can see a bad week on the road, but I can't see a bad week on the road, perhaps. It happens yet. Commish says, same comments at Oklahoma State versus Sooners. I hope he does. I hope he does. I hope he says the exact same thing. Just sub out, hey, Coach Gundy, if he's there. I mean, he may not speak. He may not have a speaking engagement and an opportunity to do it. Good job, Texas Tech, getting him out here for the kickoff luncheon. Which, boy, they souped up that animal today, didn't they? Turn down the lights, bring in the big old trucks. Shout out James Kinsey, Cody Kinsey, Lubbock Truck Sales. Bring them on in. Get some videos going. This ain't the old, I was thinking today, I'm going to get my predictions out here in a minute. Don't worry. You guys can get yours in. You can text down the United Supermarkets text line, 806-772-0197. I was thinking back, and it was a different deal, but the hokiness back in the day of the old chamber kickoff breakfast, and it basically didn't change from about 1955 to 1999. And I can remember going in the early 90s to that, and it was just, it was like a transport back in time. And I hesitate to say too much because I don't want to offend anybody, because some people might be related to some of the people. But the same joke and the same stuff that literally had gone on through the days of J.T. King, and Jim Carley, fill in the blanks, and you're just sitting there going, whoa. Slow to realize it was 2 trucks. Yeah, it's pretty cool stuff going on. And the real Double T was there. Amen to that. David Collier, did Yormark's comments make you add to the win total? Actually, I subtracted to the win total because now Texas is going to be all fired up to play Texas Tech. And they weren't going to be fired up to play Texas Tech. But now they're going to do it. Now Hookem is going to spite Brett Yormark. They weren't going to play hard that day. They weren't going to give it their all. Texas Tech is not a rival. But now it's personal for UT. You got there. See, I'd actually pulled down a win that I had the other direction. All right, after much deliberation, I am, and this is the first time since 2008 that 2009. I am predicting a 9-win season for Texas Tech and a 12-game regular season. That I think this schedule lends itself that way. Who you play, who you don't play, where you play certain teams, that this team has a legitimate chance to win 9 games. I had been on the 8-game track, but when I went to the 4 losses, and I kept trying to say, okay, that one, that the 4 losses were getting more difficult to get to at this point. Now, that's kind of if everything goes well, and if everything really, really goes well, my plus or minus deal, could you go 10-2? Yeah, you could with this. You could lose to Oregon and then take your pick. Texas, at Baylor, TCU, Kansas State, combination, something like that. Yeah, you could have a crappy day. The days of showing up against Colorado or Oklahoma State and Stillwater could show up again. But it's a realistic opportunity for this team to win 9. But everything will have to go well. I'm predicting 9 with the idea that this offensive line is significantly better, that I trust the people that I trust to tell me that that this line is better, it will play better, that it can handle an injury, that I buy into that. And if I buy into that, then I think the level of play across the board on the offense could be significantly better, and we see exactly what Zach Kitley really wants to do and what Joey McGuire really wants to do offensively. I think this is one of the better defensive fronts that will cover up any inadequacies in the linebacking core tremendously well, and they can handle injuries and they can generate edge pressure. I think the secondary is average, which is good. The depth is still not there. So this could easily turn into, instead of 9, easily turn into an 8 or a 7-win team. Easily. But I am going to go with 9 with a very limited upside from there, but a bigger downside than most years. So we'll go 9-3. First time since 2009 that we have looked at Texas Tech and said, yeah, you got a chance to do it. Who are my losses to? I will lose to nobody. I don't lose to anybody. Who do I think Texas Tech will lose to? I can't put Oregon in the win column until they go down there and do it. And I see it. I'm not putting Texas in the win column. That third loss is out there somewhere, and I don't really know where. Probably hard to put Baylor in there, but I don't believe in the Bears. So then what do I think about TCU and Kansas State after that? Does TCU regress on the luck side? We've talked a lot about luck tonight. Do they regress on the luck side? I don't know. And then where's that random bad game? Where is that random bad game? Off the United Supermarkets text line. So what you're saying is over 8.5. Yeah. If you were looking at a win total of 8.5, I would be betting the over. That's exactly what I am saying there. Give those dogs some treats. They don't deserve anything. One of them's already had to be hosed off once today. Iowa State. Always Iowa State. Maybe you exercised that demon last year in Ames. Beware of the purple hordes. Absolutely. All purple. Dangerous. Shuck gets hurt against Oregon. Morton comes in and plays lights out. Don't ever be calling for injuries on your team. Don't ever predict injuries. Those happen enough. And yeah, Morton will start a game because that's what happens in college football now. And you've got one of the better backups, not just in the Big 12, but maybe in D1 football with Baron Morton. Pro Scout's just still drooling over his possibility. So it's a 9-3 prediction with a bigger downside this year than normal and a smaller upside than normal. More compact on that. You guys fire away Bandwagon Wednesday. We will finish it up tonight. Talking about Terry Funk and the passing of Terry Funk. Celebrate the greatness of him, one of the all-time great professional wrestlers, all-time great good dudes. So my backstory on all of this, I grew up in Amarillo and Canyon. My dad was a high school football coach, and he was coaching at Canyon in the mid-'70s through the late '70s. And while he was a coach at Canyon, that's when Dory Funk, the third, was playing. And he was, I think he was class of '77. I think that's right. So I would catch the bus, number 63, by the way, from Canyon Elementary, and go down to the high school. and I would watch, practice and hang out and everything. And of course, everybody knew who the Funk Brothers were in the early mid '70s. That's when the Funk Brothers, the second generation, were really exploding on the scene. And wrestling was bigger at Amarillo and bigger in the Panhandle than it was down here. And I learned that when I moved down here. I mean, they were local heroes. And of course, the WT connection, and you had Terry Funk and John Ayers, and we'll get to John Ayers here in a little bit. But it wasn't unusual for back then when Dory the Third was playing at Canyon High for Terry Funk to be out there, for Dory Funk Jr. to be out there, for the Dory Funk Sr. To be out there watching Dory the Third and watching practice and whatever. My dad would always say, hey, you know who that is up there in the stands. You know who that. Me, 6, 7 years old, and you always have to be careful what you remember growing up and what you get told you remember in different things. So, I can remember one time, and it seemed like Dory Sr. was maybe there more than Terry Funk and Dory Funk Jr. But anyhow, it was after practice or something, down there on the old practice field at Canyon High, which I think now is the junior high there, and they came down, they were out, they were talking to the coaches, and I remember just being petrified that, oh my God, they're real. And they're standing right over there, and my dad, they're talking to him, and I was so scared, I couldn't go up to him. Couldn't go over there and talk to him. I just petrified. Good God, that's the Funk Brothers. So, that introduction to it, and growing up, I say around it, that it was not unusual to see them and everything else. Fast forward, and obviously throughout the '70s and '80s, throwing out some great memories and stuff there with the old days of wrestling. And so I'm doing Lady Raider basketball play-by-play for many years, and we sign out of Canyon High School, Jolie Ayers, great basketball player, great post player. She's an assistant athletic director with LISD today. So, I knew who Jolie was coming out of high school, and she becomes a Lady Raider. And of course, I knew the backstory for those who don't know. Her father, John Ayers, had played at WT, and he was a star lineman for the San Francisco 49ers in their Super Bowl runs in the '80s. Just all the team I couldn't stand. The last team to make me cry was the San Francisco 49ers with the catch. So here I am, and here's Jolie coming in as a freshman, and then I kind of get a little bit of the backstory that, of course, her father had passed away when she was in junior high in '95, and that had been a tough go, obviously, for the family. I knew that and everything else, we'd visit and stuff. But what I didn't realize until then is how close Terry Funk and John Ayers were, and how they were best friends from their WT days, and all that intertwining connection. And that Terry Funk became a godfather to John Ayers' kids. After John passed, that he basically became their dad. So then, while Jolie was at Texas Tech, it was not unusual for Terry Funk to be, at a practice now and then, certainly at the games. And many of you may remember that, Terry Funk going to the games and everything, and whatever. But so I got a chance all over again to visit with him, and I kind of told him, a version of the story I just told you about when I was a little kid, in Canyon and everything. And he was always really nice. But the cool thing about Terry being there is that he always wanted the spotlight on Jolie. Everybody knew it was Terry Funk. Yeah, when he was in the building, Terry Funk was there, and I would see different games when he was there. You see the kids coming. You see guys our age, guys in their 60s and 70s coming up. But that he always did his damnedest to make sure it was about Jolie, and the focus was on Jolie and everything else regarding that. But that he stepped in. So the things that you guys will think about him as a wrestler and as all that stuff, I think about Terry Funk as the guy who, at the hardest time in the world for that family, for the Ayers family, and for those kids, and for everything they were going through. That he was there for them through it all every day, and didn't just kind of disappear after after he passed, or that he was a part of their life, and they were a part of his life uh, always. So that today, as you see all the celebrations of and you're going to see all sorts of cool stories, and people are going to talk about what a great dude that Terry Funk was, that it all comes to me full circle, that here I am, a 6, 7-year-old kid standing on a football field, petrified of the fact that he's there, through sitting there visiting with him in a nearly empty United Supermarkets arena, talking about different stuff, and that guy. I'm really glad I got to meet that guy. I'm really glad I got to meet that Terry Funk, and get to share that story with you just a little bit. We get blessed sometimes with being able to do cool things through our jobs, and that was one of the cool things. That was one of those neat things. So we'd known for a long time that this day was coming for Terry, and I'm just glad that struggle's over for him. There's a hell of a party going on right now in heaven with John Ayers and with Terry Funk and with a lot of those dudes. There aren't beers big enough, and there aren't stories crazy enough to be told. And that's one of the awful things about Alzheimer's, is that it robs not just people of time, but it traps them inside themselves. And of all the people to have to spend their final days on this earth trapped inside themselves, a horrible thing for somebody like that. Yeah. So there you go. There's my thoughts on the passing of Terry Funk. 9-3. We thank all of our fine sponsors here in Raiderland. We welcome United Supermarkets in the United Supermarkets text line. Hope you guys take advantage of that. If you can, share the broadcast. We put it on the website, theraiderland.com. You can put it on Facebook. You can put it on Twitter. We'll be back in the morning, either or Thursday. Huge broadcast coming. Last one of the week tomorrow night. We'll be up in Boys Ranch with the Ropes Eagles on Friday night as Texas high school football kicks off for real. Got to shut her down first off for the wonderful people on Twitter Live and on our YouTube channel. It always asks, in the broadcast? Yes, in the broadcast. So we say goodbye to them.